a blowout. 8th inning, 10-3. Bases are loaded for Verlander, who waits on a 3-0 pitch. He swings, and it's a high fly ball. Deep center field. It is gone. Home run. And a huge bat flip to celebrate. All right, Ben, start the show already.
This is the Tuesday bonus edition of Flippin Bats, which means one thing and one thing only. It is time for my favorite segment this week in Shohei Ohtani news. We're going to talk about more records that he is breaking on the pitcher's mound. We're going to talk about his struggles at the plate, his offensive struggles lately. What are the Angels? Are they good? Are they bad? We'll talk about the Angels as well as Shohei's apparent love of Funyuns and that viral picture that we saw over the last week. But I am joined, as always, by Alex Curry. Alex, let's talk first and foremost about his start on the mound over the weekend, where he dominated, again, the Miami Marlins. 6 innings pitched, 6 hits and earned run, but struck out 10. So that's where the dominance comes in for me, with those 10 strikeouts, where he, again, struck out double digits. He now leads the American League in strikeouts. Huge. He racked up 10 more strikeouts. His ERA is now 2.91 on the year, and his 90 strikeouts leads all of the American League and is second in all of baseball. He's also leading in batting average against. He's second in strikeouts in all of baseball and fourth in WHIP, while, by the way, leading the Angels in RBIs and tied for home runs with Mike Trout. But I digress. We talk enough about the two-way side of things. Just pitching-wise, absolutely dominant. And we are talking about a guy that, I've said this a lot this year, we're talking about a guy that if he puts it all together on the mound, his command and getting out of first innings that he can struggle in a little bit, when he puts that all together, he's the most dominant pitcher in the game of baseball. Sometimes when we see him get in trouble, it's because he loses his command for an inning or comes out of the gates and has to find that command, which he's done a great job of this year. But we're talking about a pitcher right now that leads the American League in strikeouts with 90, is leading all of baseball in batting average against, and again, another game with 10-plus strikeouts, which is now, since the start of last year, Alex, his 14th game doing that, which is 3 more than anybody else in all of baseball in that span.
So we're in Ohtani's 3rd season of being continuously in the MVP conversation, right? Obviously, He won the MVP in one of those. But after hearing all these stats and what he's actually doing and leading in the pitching category in the American League, he legitimately needs to be consistently in that conversation for the AL Cy Young. He's always been in the MVP conversation. Now we equally need to put that respect on the Cy Young conversation as well.
I actually think it hurts him in the Cy Young conversation that he does what he does, because everybody looks at him as a whole. Whereas if you just look at Shohei's numbers as a pitcher and put them up against everybody, certainly there's an argument for Cy Young. And I just think with him doing what he's doing, there is a bit of he's not, like Cy Young as well. He's not the best pitcher in baseball. But if you start looking at some of the numbers, batting average against, strikeouts, there's certainly an argument right now that he is the most dominant pitcher that Major League Baseball has. And that's not an understatement to say by any means. No. I agree with you.
Yeah. We need to put some respect on just the pitching side as well.
Again, if you take the hitting out of it, which the stat I just said, he now has 14 games with 10 or more strikeouts since the start of last season, which is 3 more than anybody else. He has 46 home runs as a hitter during that stretch. I mean, that's insane. It's mind-blowing, the statistics behind all of this. But it's the pitching for me right now that is leading the way, and he's doing it arguably as good as anybody in the game of baseball and as dominant as anybody. For Shohei, it's not about are you going to get hit around in a game or not. It's about can you limit your walks, keep people off base, so that maybe if you give up 1 home run, it's not 3 runs and you walk 2 of them on base. It's 1 run. And you look at things at the end of the day, and it's the line that he has. 6 innings pitched, 1 earned run, and 10 strikeouts against the Marlins. Another dominant start for Shohei. against the Marlins.
Now, we've talked about this a lot. Say he's struggling on one end or the other. Say he's struggling on the mound. We usually see him pick it up and do something incredible offensively. But right now, we're kind of seeing the opposite, where he is so dominant on the mound, and we're seeing a little bit of offensive frustration from Ohtani.
Yeah, you said it. I can't say ever. You hardly see visible frustration from Shohei. You know sometimes that he is frustrated because he's Shohei and expects the most out of himself and gets frustrated when he doesn't do that. I remember talking to him last year at the All-Star game when he was an All-Star as both a designated hitter and a pitcher, and asked him what would Shohei Ohtani the pitcher do against Shohei Ohtani the hitter. And he said, well, the pitcher could throw it right down the middle right now and I couldn't hit it. Well, he was an All-Star as a hitter. Like he expects the most out of himself, which is why he's as good as he is. But right now, he's going through it a little bit, entering this new week. So through Sunday, he's 5 for his last 33 with 13 strikeouts at the plate. So we saw it on, I think it was Saturday. He ends up getting out and came back into the dugout and kind of just slammed down his helmet. Not like a slam.
Not like what we see
a
from
Shohei
most
slam.
players. It was like
gentle.
Aggressively hard just on. He didn't like throw it on the ground. It was just like, there. It's down. I'm angry.
It's not like the clip of David Ortiz when he came back in the dugout and started beating the crap out of the phone in the dugout and pieces are flying everywhere and the phone broke. No, this was frustration in the way that Shohei gets frustrated, and he's certainly going through it a little bit offensively. But his numbers on the year are still good, still hitting the homers. He's at 12 homers, which tied with Mike Trout for the lead in homers. He's still leading the team in RBI, so he's still very productive offensively. But it is time to talk about the struggles, and I do believe he's going to turn it around.
Yeah, I mean, he's the kind of player that expects nothing less than excellence. So, again, he's not playing horribly. He's not playing bad. He's pitching great. He is having some struggles on offense, but the way Ohtani usually counters those struggles is he does something incredible on the other side. If he's struggling at the plate, he does something great on the mound. If he's struggling on the mound, he does something great at the plate. So right now, we're just kind of in one of those, like, what are these called?
In limbo.
Limbo, the seesaws.
Oh.
Is that what they're called?
Like a teeter-totter.
A teeter-totter. What do you call it?
It's a seesaw.
A seesaw? I don't know. I'm doing the motion if you're just listening. I don't remember what
it's both. I think I used to call it a teeter-totter back in elementary school.
But
I don't know if that's
right. We're not level right now. We're just a little, we're in a moment.
But
and that's okay.
To your point, you just said if, sometimes right now, if he's pitching, he's not hitting, and if he's hitting, he's not pitching. But there's also another factor here that we need to talk about, which is speed. And he could be on base maybe from a walk or finally getting a hit and stealing bases, which is what he does as a pitcher, arguably definitely better than anybody else. Well, right now, no pitchers are getting on base. But this is the second time, his last start on Saturday. This is the second time in his career Shohei has had a 10-plus strikeout game and a stolen base in the same game. That's tied with Max Scherzer and Nolan Ryan for the second most such games since at least 1906. Behind only Bob Gibson, who had 3. Shout out Bob Gibson and his blistering speed on the bases. Who knew? And Max Scherzer.
Yeah.
Stealing bases. Who knew? But again, more elite territory, entering something that hasn't been done since 1906.
But so, okay, he's struggling at the plate. Here, I'm going to take it into my own hands, and I'm going to steal a base.
Yep. So Shohei, still doing very well. Still the favorite to win AL MVP as of right now, but we're only a third of the way into the year. So I digress. A bigger, not bigger question, but a different question I want to have is, what are the Angels? And that answer is something that I did a bit of a dive into because, one, it's complicated, and two, it really matters. I do think we're to the point, we're a third of the way through the season. I think any talk of Shohei being traded should go off the table. The Angels are above 500. They're 28-26 at this point in the year.
But they're in 4th place.
They've said
they're in 4th. They're in 4th place. 6 games.
Yeah, I mean they're 3 games out of a wild card spot. Like he ain't going anywhere.
Okay.
And from everything I've heard, unless something miserable happened and they tanked and they're completely out of it, there's no chance Shohei is being traded, from what I've heard. So Again, this matters. This season as a whole matters for the offseason because Shohei, as we've said and as Shohei have said, he wants to win. That's his goal. So what are the Angels? As you mentioned, they're in 4th place in the AL West, but they are 28-26. They're over 500. They're currently 3.5 games out of a wild card spot. But my question here is, are they good or are they not a good baseball team? I watch them, and it's so frustrating because I can't get a grasp on it. I watch games, and they lose in these weird ways. There was a game over the weekend where Mickey Moniak out in the outfield had a catch in extra innings, but he went to catch it like a basket catch, and he just dropped it, run score, and then they have a double play they could turn to limit the damage to 1 run in extra innings, but the catcher wasn't on home plate. So instead of a double play, they scored the run at home because he wasn't standing on it, and they end up scoring 4 more runs, and the Angels lose from that. The Angels are complicated, and they need to have a good season for Shohei to even come close to staying there.
So this has kind of been the story for the last decade. They have pieces that you think should take that team to that next level being the postseason. But for some reason, the last 10 years, they have not been able to figure out how to get over that hump. Even with 2 of the greatest players in the game right now with Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani. And they're just these weird losses. I was a part of the team in the broadcast for 10 years, and you would just scratch your head sometimes. How did that happen? How did they lose that game? They have all the pieces. They have the talent. They have the ability and the potential to be great. Something's missing. What is it? Why can't they get over that hump?
I actually don't. I don't think over the last few years, 2 to 3 years, that they've had all the pieces. No. I think they've had an elite offense, and what they were clearly, glaringly missing was pitching.
Yeah.
So then this offseason, they go and address that. Tyler Anderson, great year last year. You have some young guys that are going to be a prominent part of the rotation. Tyler Anderson has not been good. So then a question goes to, what's the deal there? Why isn't Tyler Anderson pitching very well? Is he going to figure it out? They addressed the starting pitching need, then bullpen. They had a bunch of guys they were getting production from this season that you wouldn't expect it, Matt Moore being one of them. He goes down with an injury. Now you call up Ben Joyce, the flamethrower from Tennessee, threw 105 miles an hour in college. Now they're calling him up, but their hand was kind of forced. Bullpen has honestly been kind of a bright spot with Estevez in the back of the bullpen, but now Matt Moore going down hurt. So I just have a lot of questions with this team. First and foremost being, what are the Angels? Are they a good baseball team or are they a bad baseball team? And I think within the next few weeks to month, we need to get the answer to that, because at some point they're going to have to buy all in. And buying all in at the trade deadline becomes interesting because, yeah, they may not be trading Shohei, but how heavily do you go all in? Even if you don't have the best chance at the time of the playoffs, how heavily do you go all in knowing you got to get in the playoffs to keep Shohei? Man, the Angels are such an anomaly this year. I don't exactly know what to think of their team. I watch them, and some nights I say this team is a playoff team, and other nights I say this is not a good baseball team. So that's what the Angels are right now.
Time will tell.
Time will
tell. That's what it is.
But lastly, Alex, we talked about this for a second last week, but there's a good update here. But there was a viral photo that came out last week of Shohei Ohtani on the bus eating Funyuns. Just a very innocent photo that comes out of the man just simply eating Funyuns on a bus.
He's a rock star.
Patrick Sandoval posted this photo, and next thing you know, it's going viral. Shohei Ohtani is to the point where he can't do anything personally. This hardly has to do with his personal life, just a little bit. And this photo goes viral of him just sitting on a bus, not smiling, eating Funyuns, and people will just go crazy over it.
Well, it's a whole vibe. Even like the coloring, whatever he did to the photo, it looks vintage. It's rad.
So that's what I learned.
Yeah.
That's what came out. Patrick Sandoval was asked about this. And he said the first road trip of the year, he bought a disposable camera.
Yeah, you can tell.
On the road trip. And it was nice, but he finally got all of those published. What's the word I'm looking for?
Printed.
Developed. Developed, yes. Finally got them all developed and went around to everybody in the locker room who he took photos of, basically asking, is it okay if I post these?
Yeah.
Is it okay if I post this? Shohei said, I don't care.
Yeah.
And Patrick Sandoval said he went and asked Ippei just to really make sure because it's like,
it's Shohei.
I know this is going to be a big deal because it's Shohei, but Ippei was like, yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. So he ends up posting it and it goes everywhere. But first and foremost, who eats Funyuns? Terrible snack.
I mean, you're the junk food kid. I don't.
I don't like Funyuns.
You eat cookies in between shows.
Yeah, cookies.
I mean, they're both junk food, Ben.
But what?
If I was gonna guess anyone, I'd be like, oh, Ben eats Funyuns. Probably with his cookies and some Cheetos in there because you just eat the weirdest
That's terrible.
Is it though?
My body is a temple, and I am very cautious at what I put in.
Yeah, right. I can say that. You cannot.
But seriously, so here's what I think happened. Because Patrick Sandoval said the other day, now all Shohei just gets question after question. He said he feels bad because Shohei just gets so many questions about what snacks he likes. And I bet you this is what happened. They were leaving a locker room. You pass a little snack stand, and he's like, okay, I'll take the Funyuns. And now it goes viral, and everybody's like, Shohei's a huge Funyun fan. I bet you people are thinking too much into that.
Definitely.
But who eats Funyuns?
He's a superstar. It's like onions, right? I feel like I would like Funyuns then. I might have to try
You don't know what Funyuns are?
No, I've never had them. I didn't grow up with junk food. I was like an all-organic, healthy kid. Are they gluten-free? If they're gluten-free, I'll try them.
Are Funyuns gluten-free? No.
We'll find out. Okay.
No, they're not. They're not.
Oh, they're not.
They're
Okay,
not. Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, photo went viral. He's like the baseball Taylor Swift right now.
I love it.
That's what he is.
We're here for it.
So yeah, another good week for Shohei this week on the mound. Offensively, I have no doubts when we do this week and Shohei Ohtani news next week. You know what? I got a BVG for you.
What?
You know what a BVG is?
Ben's valuable.
Ben Verlander guarantee.
Oh.
Shohei Ohtani is hitting a home run or two this week. And by the time we do This Week in Shohei Ohtani news next week, I will be talking about his multiple home runs that he hit on the week. And that is a BVG.
All right.
And that, my friends, does it for my favorite segment, This Week in Shohei Ohtani news. Which also, Alex, brings an end to our Tuesday bonus episode. 2 episodes today.
We had 2 episodes Monday and Tuesday.
What a day.
You're welcome.
What a week this is.
You're welcome, fam.
You're welcome. A bunch of great stuff. Kasumba Dennis's Monday special interview. The normal Monday episode. Tuesday, 2 episodes. We got a Wednesday guest episode. Just good week so far. This has been a lot of fun. Thank you all for listening. Make sure you subscribe. Anywhere you're listening to Flippin Bats, make sure you subscribe, hit that plus button. That really helps. And also follow along on all social media so you don't miss a thing. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. You can watch everything we do on YouTube. Follow us at Flippin Bats Pod there on everything. Thank you all for listening to this Tuesday episode. Until tomorrow, my friends, that does it. Peace.